You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Good afternoon to you all. Welcome to the new. I'm your host, Randy Perham. Woo! It is Friday, thank God. But in my world, that means absolutely nothing. But however, it is also Red Friday, RED Friday, where we salute our men and women who are serving our nation away from home. I'm not gonna say necessarily overseas, but away from home. They're physically not capable or able to be at home with their loved ones. We salute you every Friday. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your commitment, sacrifices, and the things that you do to protect us at home, sitting on the couch, watching TV. That's all. I will leave it at that. Anyways, I hope you all had a fantastic week. Got a very special guest with us today, by the name of Anjali, and I'm going to go through her bio real quick, and we're gonna get right into it because I want to spend the full hour with her today, and we're gonna have some fun. Anjali is Anjali Chatelle. She is running for the Board of Education, a seat on the Board of Education for District 3 out of the state of Maryland. She is by profession, she's a teacher and an accountant. And her education and training consists of she attended uh, Montgomery Blair High School in Silver Spring, Maryland. She has a bachelor's from Trinity University in business, a master's in business and finance from American University out of Washington D.C. She has a master's in information systems at UMBC Baltimore. She is a 200 level 200 yoga teacher trainer in Yoga Fit, and she is a certified public accountant out of Maryland. She is currently in her first year of law school at Dayton University, uh, out of Dayton, Ohio, and she was previously elected as a comptroller, and currently she teaches business classes at Warwick Community College as an employee. She always teaches. She also teaches yoga, excuse me, as a sole proprietor. She taught at ECI prison via Warwick before the pandemic, and previously, like I was saying, she was a state auditor for Ocean Downs, ensuring financial and non-financial compliance with federal and state regulations. During the tax season, she works as a consultant and a tax expert. And her community activities is she's a patient and family advisory committee at Atlantic General Hospital, but they haven't done anything since COVID, naturally. And she volunteers yoga. She's a volunteer yoga teacher at her local church. Her primary reason for seeking a seat on the Worcester County Board of Education is to improve the quality of education for all children while ensuring fiscal responsibility. Her plans are also to meet all of the students' needs, especially the minority and socially economically challenged students of Worcester County Public Schools. And her quote is, I think each child should have an individualized education plan. Plans themselves are not expensive. Some students may need to have their updated more than others or need more services, but the idea that all students can have an education for their needs is something that from the start can be achieved. I'm getting an echo, sorry. And the start to make students want to be invested in their learning while also ensuring we have valid claims for needed additional state and federal funding. As a minority, I have experienced some social challenges, but I've also seen similar challenges among non-minorities on the Eastern Shore. There are many pockets of no interest and or no public transportation throughout the community. If needed, where would I like to look to make budget reductions? She says, I will hold a county responsible for their actions and to make sure others know what is going on. Every dollar for education is crucial, so I would strive to look for federal and state grants as well as public and private partnerships first. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I introduce to you Anjali Chatelle. Hello,
Hello,
Anjali.
everybody.
Welcome. Thank you for coming on with us today. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
You
I
have
think there's
you,
an echo. I apologize.
yeah, it is. Let me try to adjust things here. How are things going on your end? How is that? A little better?
Uh, I think so. Do you think
Okay.
so?
Yeah, I think so. How are things on your end?
Um, I hear a little echo, so it kind of reminds me of. Actually, the echo's gone now. Never mind. Okay. So can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I just want to clarify that I wasn't elected. I was the Republican candidate, so I was elected, although I was the only Republican candidate. That for the Republican Party for comptroller, but then when it came to the general election, and I still disagree with the Board of Elections on how they went about things. But currently, somebody else is in that office that I think if people were playing by the campaign finance laws, things would be different.
Quite the impressive resume. And I have a thousand questions for you. Hopefully, we get through them all in the hour. Hopefully, I'm banking on it. So, is there anything else you want to add about yourself before we jump into things? Like where you
So I'm
from?
about to.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I was born in DC. My father's from India, my mother's from the US, and I'm about to come out with a book called Political Hearts on Yoga. And I take an ancient text called the Samkhya Yoga, and I do my version of the translation, which isn't everybody's, based on my experience in life and my understandings of that. And then I apply it to politics, and not just American politics, but even global scales for some issues. Because I mean, we really are a global. I mean, whether you're in small town America, middle of America, you're still going to be doing things on a global level. If you're going to be sending stuff out through Amazon to China or to Peru or Europe, wherever. And likewise, we have agreements with. There's so much that interconnects us. So some of these topics are really global issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I put in some of my experiences in running for office and politics between people. Like I think that politics isn't just who gets elected to a government seat, but who becomes the new boss, who becomes the new CEO, who's the real head of a small house. Like there's politics even in family dynamics.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep, I agree. I agree. So what I guess my question is in relation to your book. Um, what what is the aim of the book for your audience? What do you want them to take away from
I want people who are doing things maybe not as peace bringing as I could to see it as some inspirational way to become more peaceful, or more of the person that they want to be. And for those who are going along a path of some sort of calmness and peace and happiness, to keep moving in that direction for themselves.
it? Wow. Okay. That's that's awesome. That is awesome. So, and you served as a comptroller in Maryland.
Yeah, I didn't serve because
Oh, you didn't. You
the
didn't win.
board of
You was a candidate.
elections. Well, so I made complaints with the Maryland State Board of Elections regarding campaign finance violations, and and I informed them of what I think that they're supposed to do according to the law. Um, they never responded, so eventually I filed a court case about this, and the court case was filed in a state circuit court, and the judge in the state circuit court, um, they they signed off on, or they affirmed a request for motion of dismissal by the state attorney general regarding the complaint. And
Okay.
there was some uh, the comments of the judges at the time. I wasn't. I'm in law school now. I wasn't then, because like I'm really an accountant, and um, something to the effect of the board of elections needs to still do things to look into this. They're still have that time or something like that. Some of it, and they still haven't done this stuff. But I then filed for an en banc review, which is sort of like a poor person's uh, uh, appeal.
Hmm.
A panel from the circuit court does the review rather than going up to, in the state of Maryland, it's the Court of Special Appeals. So instead, it was just en banc review within that circuit court level, and then they maintain the dismissal case. Um, so where I am now is in law school to figure out how to navigate the federal circuit, and perhaps hopefully file a court case in federal court regarding the Board of Elections in Maryland not enforcing campaign finance violations, or not enforcing campaign finance laws.
Wow.
Now,
That's
I'm
that's a
not
hell of a
like a
motivation.
judge. I'm not I'm not a lawyer. And so, we'll see what happens. I'm not making any accusations on this
Right. Yeah.
TV show. Um, I have my facts for what looks like one thing that's supposed to happen, and I don't see it happening. Um, and we have a very long history in Maryland of a certain way of thing, a lot of things, and I think that what I'm uncovering is partly that status quo thing of what
Yeah.
looks like not enforcing law, maybe not even complying with the law. Um, I'm going to be filing a negligence complaint soon, hopefully this winter on break, um, and then in the spring maybe filing something officially in federal court. Pro se, unless there's some Republican lawyer out there who might be interested in looking into this or helping.
You never know, because I have an array of people from various backgrounds that watch the show, and they'll reach out to me and say, "Hey, you was talking about this situation. This must be applying to somebody that you know, or whatever the case." And they oftentimes ask me to connect with these people, or so they can help them and everything. I just Sure, here's their contact info. I'm out. Don't involve me. So, but yeah, you never know. You never know what kind of help you might get. So, uh, that is an unfortunate situation to be in, and like I said, it must be a hell of a motivator to say, you know what, I've been spited. I'm going to law school so I can learn this stuff. That's I I I just wouldn't. That's just me though.
Well,
That's
I
just me.
believe in doing what's right. Like
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
didn't get involved in politics to become the president or to become. I mean, I even at first I wasn't trying to do this to become comptroller. I mean, the first time I got anywhere near politics, well, okay, so when I was in college, I grew up in DC area, so like, I went to campaign stuff all the time. I helped on campaigns and stuff a little bit when I was in college because that's like what we do here.
Hmm.
Um, but then at some point, my mom was like, you need to go to Occupy Wall Street because there's all this corruption stuff happening and people are talking about it. And like that was the beginning of, and so I was part of Occupy Wall Street and looking at the corruption that's happening in these businesses. And then they were talking about like the legislature. I mean, I was there the day that we stopped Congress from meeting because of the protesting in the street. So I was getting in this about cleaning up politics, draining the swamp, so to speak. And so, going from the whole draining the swamp to seeing what's happening to finding this what looks to me like a travesty in the state of Maryland
Mm.
around the money.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I know, I totally understand. So you're running for the school board, the board of education,
Mhm.
District 3. Tell us about District 3 and what motivated you to wanna say, you know what, I'm putting my name in the ring for this.
Um, well, for one thing, there wasn't anybody. There was one person running, and that was it. There wasn't anybody running against this guy. Maybe maybe everybody thinks he's great. I don't know. But I believe in having um, an election process. I think that we should have debate about the topics. We should have debate about what is best for our students, for Board of Education. When people are running for Congress, what's best for all of the people and for president, and so forth. So part of running was really just part of um, being an active member in my community and being just another option for people. So there's two options on the plate for people. There's me, and then there's another guy. His name's John Andes, and we haven't had any debates. We haven't. I mean, he might be invited to some things. I'm not sure, but like, there's not. Uh, it could be because of COVID. I've run for Board of Education before, and we had some debates in Montgomery County, Maryland,
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So you haven't
and
you
I think
haven't
it's
had any contention with their the opposing party yet. You haven't
the
had
the
no
other person. I
debates.
hate to use the word opposing. Like I don't. I have nothing against
Well, y'all
John
not in this
Andes at all.
together.
Um, no, we're not at all.
No,
uh,
I understand
and
though.
with yeah, with Francho, it's a little bit different because it's about the money. Like, I mean, that's where I am. Things is people being honest about their spending, their being transparency in our money, um, and um, so with board of elections, it's a little different. And if I'm elected for board of, one of my top priorities is going to be audit, and making sure that the money's being well.
Okay. So there's some financial discrepancies and financial undisclosures going on in the within the spectrum of the education department for the state of Maryland, in your opinion, or at least in the district.
Well, okay, in my area, so Maryland has a lot of these outskirt communities, and
Hmm.
they tend actually not to get a lot of funding, because maybe there's not a lot of people. They're more scattered about or something like that, and they're farther away from being influential in the core. Um, some people call it the dirty, rotten core. And
Hmm. Hmm.
so on the outskirts, it's more about uh, the county not getting their fair share from the state, in my opinion. I grew up in Montgomery County, Maryland, which is a very rich area. You're from Frederick County, right?
No,
And
I lived
from,
in Frederick,
okay,
Maryland. Yeah, down by Fort
okay.
Detrick area. Frederick, yeah, close to Baltimore, not too far, not too far, about 40 minutes from Baltimore. I used to live there. I lived there for 2 years. Yeah, so I'm familiar with the area. I'm familiar with Montgomery County. Yep.
And if you've been out to like the Allegheny, Garrett County areas, you've seen that there's drastically less money going into things out there at the state level. So when I was in Montgomery County, the key audits would have been about, you know, the bad spending or the money going into the pocket of somebody, and the kickbacks and so forth. At the outer levels, I mean the outside of the state areas, it would be more about, are they getting what they really need? I think that there's a lot of people out here that don't get the infrastructure, the CARES money for education,
Mm,
that sort of thing.
good point. Good point. So, do you feel that that the the children that are in these districts, in this particular district, they're not getting the financial support from the state and federal level, or are they? But it's just not being spent wisely. The money coming in, but it's not being spent wisely, or they are not just getting it at all.
I think that they're not getting enough, and definitely isn't going necessarily into education like it should.
Okay, wrong name. I, I love technology. So, what do you seek to change if you're elected? I'm not even gonna say if. When you are elected, what is the first action you're gonna do when you take office? When you sit down in that chair and you say, "I am now on the board of education." I pull out the pen. What is the first thing you're doing?
I'd want to be able to meet everybody in the office and get copies or get access to all the accounting records, the spending.
Going how far back?
In
Going how far back?
3 years.
3 years? Okay. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, yeah, that sound like a plan. That sound like that might work. Okay. Hmm. 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 Folks, we're gonna take a short break. We'll be right back after this message. We are gonna come back with Anjali Chatelle, and we're gonna continue to talk politics, her political run for the Board of Education out of District 3 in Maryland, and we're gonna get into discussing discussions, that too, on different things from her perspective on what's going on, not only in her community but just in general with uh, social the social things that are going on out there. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Alexa, help me find the best in urban conservative news, talk, and movies. Alexa. We found it.
If you're looking to get some blacksmith work done, check out Old Emerald Coast Forge. Veteran owned and operated out of Louisiana. You can check out their Facebook page, Old Emerald Coast Forge, or follow them on Instagram at Old Emerald Coast Forge. All kinds of blacksmithing work done. There is no task too tough for these guys. Check out Old Emerald Coast Forge, veteran owned and operated, to get your knives, kitchen knives, furniture, anything dealing with metal made and done right. Once again, that is Old Emerald Coast Forge, veteran owned and operated out of Louisiana. You can check out their Facebook page at Old Emerald Coast Forge or on Instagram at Old Emerald Coast Forge.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Hey, welcome back from our short break. We have, for those of you that are just now tuning in, we have a special guest with us, Maryland Board of Education District 3 candidate Anjali Chatelle, with us today. And we're we're running her through the mill. No, but we're having fun today. So she's coming back on with us here in a second, and we're going to continue to discuss her candidacy for the Board of Education and to get her thoughts on what's going on in society. Hey, Angie, welcome back. So, question: are you pro-choice or pro-school choice or anti-school choice?
I'm pro-choice. You're talking like the voucher programs?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm
School choice, not child like abortion program, not that pro-choice. No, school choice, like yeah, voucher program, the opportunity for children to or for parents to select where their children goes for school and things associated with that. Are you in support of that or are you against that, and why?
okay. I'm part of it because I'm I'm pretty smart. I did get two masters, a cum laude, but in high school, I was kicked out in ninth grade because I had a drug problem, and I eventually went to these schools. They were called level 5 schools, and I didn't right from the start. Nobody ever said, oh, we have these other schools for kids with different needs. It was more like I was kicked out. I was in a hospital setting, and the hospital mandated that I go to school. And so they had to put me into these level 5 schools. That's what they're called in Montgomery County. And so um, I needed something different than what was traditional. Um, I was very smart when I was a kid and so forth, but I still needed something different. And that's just one example.
Hmm.
Another example is where people who want to get into a skill trade, and skills can be very profitable. Um, I know a lot of plumbers and mechanics who make way more than me. And the traditional track of a traditional high school diploma and then college doesn't get somebody to the skill set that they need to become an excellent mechanic and so forth. And that's like another example. In addition, there's there are different um, needs sometimes. Like I even think that there should be a way that you can go to an all women's high school or all boys, all men, if that's what the needs are of the student, and that there can be with voucher programs there can be that solution. If you're the victim of a rape when you're 12 years old, you're not going to be able, maybe not be able to concentrate in school so much, and you need to have an environment that's going to be conducive to your needs. And without some people don't want to make a big deal about it. So like having the voucher program, it gives people that flexibility to find the school niche that's for that person. Um,
Hmm.
I do yoga. I teach yoga. My website is heartsonyoga.com. And yoga is all about finding your own way. Like there isn't this strict absolute way in yoga ever. And the same thing is true with all types of education, not just exercise yoga, but our mental yoga, that some people are going to want to go to a school where, you know, the Bible, and it's okay. And why does the funding have to be cut? And this is one of these things that really aggravates me sometimes. And I'm not like a hardcore any type of religion or the other, but if there's a school that somebody's going to go to because they have a certain religious belief, and they go out of their way to pay the extra money to go to that school, then they still get hit with taxes to pay for everybody else's schooling. Or if they're going to homeschool their child, they still have to pay taxes for all the other kids who aren't being homeschooled, that are in the regular schools, even though their kids aren't, and they have to pay extra money for these books. That's just ridiculous.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been waiting for years to hear somebody say that and put it that way. You are absolutely right. And that's funny that you also mentioned that, because it actually leads me into my next question about. So we all know that from our taxes and from state and federal funding of schools, um, the money is based on the child. Say, for example, me coming into high school, I'm gonna have $10,000 associated with my head, right? How do you feel about if I transferred from that school, that money that was allocated for my education should follow me wherever I go for school, or should once I leave that district, it's up to my next school, next residence to figure it out on how to fund me, and that money stays in that school? You see the difference there? So, how do you feel about the money following the student aspect?
It Yeah, I think that the money kind of should stay with the students' residence, but when you get into these border areas, it becomes different. Um, Sort of with police, for instance, there's Montgomery County, there's Prince George's County, and
Hmm.
when a police officer crosses the line, in if you read the old black and white letter of the law, like that's no longer jurisdiction. And they've come a long way in kind of saying, well, in pursuit of, or depending on the agreement between the two states or the two counties. And I think that with education, there should be more agreements between border cities, for students that are going to be, because I mean, you cross, if you're in the DC area. And I know a lot of, I mean, my school had, I can't tell you how many students really lived in DC, and they were using Maryland residents to go to the Maryland school that was right across the line, because that was actually for them than to go to the DC school. And that for these metro areas, there might be, it might be better to have like a regional authority, so that it's, what's logical for the student.
Right. And so, has there
But
been
if you're,
any
huh?
has there been any ballot propositions this year on increasing taxes for funding the schools that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware. There are always property tax talks. Last year there was I mean, because property sort of tied with this. So, um,
Hmm.
but out here it's a little different. It's not like we're not like really border. We border with the ocean, not with like DC or some other
Gotcha,
state.
gotcha.
There's Virginia.
Yeah, yep. The whole DMV area. Yep, I'm familiar. I know it and I hate it.